Hello? I can't hear anything. If Dan's talking, I can't hear him. I heard the countdown. You can't hear. Dan is signing now to all of us. Angel, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've been able to hear you the whole time.
Oh, I can hear you, Angel.
Hmm.
Technical difficulties.
Hmm.
Please stand by. We need one of those standby thing triangles.
90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Hey guys, I am just super, absolutely just so excited that you're here. I'm so excited I can't even talk. Today is just the most amazing day to be here because your mindset is so crazy important. And some of the best just mindset homework and mindset work ever been given came from this man right here. Trevor is just amazing at what he does. And if you want somebody that's going to light a fire under you and keep you on track, keep you to your word and help you realize that you can accomplish
Now I don't hear any audio. You hear me?
the amazingness that mindset has and what it can do for you. And, I got to stop because I'm just, wow. It's not every day you get to have your coach on to be a part of your event. And I'm just so excited because I've said it a million times, but I'm here learning right alongside of you. And I always learn something every time I hear him speak. So, Trevor, if you could just tell us a little bit about you, maybe some of your background so that people will catch the full effect.
Absolutely. Well, first off, Angel, I am absolutely blessed and grateful to be here with you today. And to everyone watching, I know a lot of you may already know me. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Coach Trevor McGregor. I'm a high performance, peak performance master platinum coach. And I've done over 25,000 coaching sessions. And that's an actual statistic. And a lot of those were, working for the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Robbins. And you guys know Tony Robbins. He's the big guy with the big head and the big teeth. And, Tony is one of those guys that says that success is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics or what you do. And I started learning from Tony, back in the day, and I'll share more about my background, Angel, in just a moment. But I really, fell into that personal development world. I read all the books, I listened to all the audio tapes, the CDs, I went to the events, and I soon found that he was absolutely spot on, that if you want to be successful in anything, right? Whether it's in real estate or business or parenting or a marriage or, whatever, you've got to really condition this 3-pound mass between your ears called your brain. So does that make sense before I share my backstory?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It
Because
makes a lot of sense.
you find yourself getting stagnated and you're
That's it.
stagnant, and you need someone to help you get your mind going the right way, or you're not going to be able to pull out of that. I'm not
That's
saying,
perfect.
yeah, and
'Cause
I'm not saying like people can't pull out of the funk, but
Well, it leads
it's,
into my story perfectly, Angel, because I think you know my story because I'm, your coach and Jason's coach. And I coach a lot of people like Joe Fairless. I've been coaching Joe Fairless since 2013, right? I coach people like Holly Williams and Tyler Chesser and some of the other people that are presenting here at this fabulous summit. But I'm telling you, it wasn't always that way for me. In fact, I'm Canadian, so you might detect a little bit of a Canadian accent here. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, which is on the west coast of Canada. And I grew up in a middle-class family, right? We weren't poor by any stretch of the means, but we sure weren't rich. And I always remember my parents fighting over money. And I said, one day I'm not going to have, that in my house. And, I went to high school, went to college, studied business, and I started working in a hospitality company. And I literally, started doing things like marketing, finance, HR. And it was a really, really great way for me to cut my teeth in my 20s. And then, I became the executive director of operations of that organization. And the two partners, they said, Trevor, we love what you're doing with the organization. We want you to invest in the growth of our company. And I thought, wow, I'm 29 years old. This is going to be the ticket that makes me rich and I'll be able to retire early. So what did I do? Well, I scraped together all of my savings. I cashed in my 401k. And I even convinced my own parents to take out a second mortgage, a six-figure second mortgage on the family home. And I dumped all of that money into this expansion. And for the first year and a half, it went really, really well. It went gangbusters. But then, around 2001, right around the time those airplanes hit the towers in New York, we were expanding so fast across Canada. We were, operating in 5 major cities. And it was just an expansion plan that was so aggressive that, it got out of control and we couldn't hang on. And make a long story short, I ended up losing all of that money I put into the corporation, all of it. So that was probably the low point in my life. I gained 25 pounds. I literally started to have a rift with my wife because, again, most couples fight over money. And I had no idea how I was going to pay back my failed loan. So what does anybody do when they are down and out? Well, they hire a coach. And thank God for me, I found a coach that said one thing to me that changed my life forever. First of all, he said, I'm sorry what's happened to you has happened, but you're still young. You're in your early 30s. You've got 2 beautiful kids. He said, have you figured out how you might want to, make the money back? And I said, I don't know. And he said, one thing, Angel, that changed everything. And he said, have you ever thought of investing in real estate? And I said, real estate? I don't know anything about real estate. And he said, Trevor, you can use other people's money, go out there, buy a property, fix it up, and either rent it out or, sell it or whatever. And honestly, my back was up against the wall. And that's exactly what I committed to do. So I scraped together a little bit of other money from other friends and family that I didn't borrow off the first time. And I went and I literally bought my first condo. And that was a great experience. So I fixed it up and then I refied it and I took the money out of that and I bought my first townhouse. So I had a condo and a townhouse actually first, and then I leveraged both of those and I bought my first duplex. And guys, that's when I discovered cash flow. I don't know if any of you ever discovered what cash flow is, but it's like this awakening. And then I went and bought another duplex and another duplex. And then I started to buy fourplexes and more fourplexes. And I started to get into single family homes. And in a relatively short amount of time, just 2.5 years, not only did I pay off all of those failed loans, including my parents, but I had a beautiful cash flowing portfolio on the top of it. And so it was really around that time that other people started to come to me and say, Trevor, how did you do this? How did you start buying all these properties? And it was my son's coach on his little league team that came to me and said, will you show us what you're doing? And I said, well, buy me a beer. I'll come over and give you my whole blueprint. And that's exactly what I did. And it was very fulfilling to share what I had learned about real estate and all the mistakes I had made and all the successes I had. And I literally got to watch this couple go out there and buy their first rental property. Within 2 months, they had 2 rental properties. And within 6 months, they had purchased their third on their way to financial freedom. And Angel, I think that that's when the coaching bug really bit me. And I knew that if I could do it for myself and I could do it for this couple, there are other people that are probably going to benefit from, what I've got to share. And I'll take a breather and let you, respond to that. And then I'll tell you how I went on to work for Tony Robbins himself.
Well, I just think that is such a story of what success looks like. Success is not some like moment in time. I think success is a motion. Success is forward motion. And maybe it's not always straight, maybe it zigzags, but who is the people that are successful are the people that get up one more time.
That's it. And that's really what I did. I had to get up, dust myself off, but I was smart enough to leverage a coach who had already done what it was I was trying to do. And this was a very successful man. And I'm eternally grateful to him this day for taking me underneath his wing.
Well, and I just kind of want to piggyback on that too.
Sure.
So when I was growing up, I had been taking piano lessons since I was 4. I finally stopped taking piano lessons in college. And it was more because I just wasn't taking them anymore. But in high school, my piano teacher told me I will always have a piano teacher. So she was still taking lessons as a 60-plus-year-old woman.
Wow.
And so I think it's really cool that, your coach has a coach. Because it's just that idea and that mindset of you can't stop learning.
You bet. Because coaches can see things that you can't. Coaches give you perspective. They're like a sounding board. They're like a mentor. They're like an educator, and all of these different hats that coaches wear, especially in today's fast-paced world. And so as I knew I wanted to do something in that arena, I literally started to going to even more Tony Robbins events. And I started to meet his coaches, his directors of training, and they literally identified me as a potential candidate and said, hey, Trevor, you're so passionate about real estate. You're so passionate about business. You love people. How would you like to apply for a position with Tony Robbins? And I said, well, I don't have any formal coach training. There's just probably no way I'd get hired. And they said, put in your application. And so what ended up happening is, at the time I put in my application, Angel, there were over 500 applications to become a Robbins coach, right? Wow. And then they took that, stack of 500 apps and they literally lowered it down to 250, from 250 down to 100, and from 100 down to just 50. And would you believe I made the final 50 cut? And then it was right then and there that they said, look, that's not when you become a coach. That's where you got to go to every event, read all the books, listen to all the audios, memorize the tools, all of the things, the tools and the practices that Tony uses to help people in life and in business. And then, even then, I had to go take my live practicum in Orlando, Florida, which was probably one of the most grueling experiences I ever had, because you got to get up in front of these, big Tony Robbins executives, and you got to do live coaching in front of the room. Right. And then they hook you up and you got to do this live coaching, with other people that have real world problems that dial in. And so it's either, you're miserably going to fail at that, or you're going to, get resourceful and find a way. And I'm proud to say that as the dust settled, I not only cracked the code, but I got offered a full-time position and graduated as the number 2 guy in the class.
Wow. Well, I'm not surprised you made it to the top 50, but that's because, Jason and I wouldn't be where we are if it hadn't been for you. And the thing that's the coolest about that is what resonates with me is different from what resonates with Jason, and you're able to still handle it all. Whether it was like personal issues with the family or what we're trying to do with business, we don't ever want to miss a call because we know that you're going to be able to help us. And so if you didn't know that,
well, thank you very much. That really warms my heart. And that's why I love coaching you and Jason. That's why I love coaching, the Hollies and the Tylers and the Joes and the Annie and Julies. And I think, we have a lot of the same people in the same circles, because again, there's always another level for us to get to. And it's not just in real estate. It's in your personal life, right? It could be in your finances, your health, your relationships, your fulfillment. Maybe you're somebody trying to get out of a W-2, but you just don't know how to make it happen. Maybe you're somebody that wants to graduate from single family to multifamily. Maybe you don't want to go into multifamily, you want to do self-storage or mobile home parks or whatever. A coach is somebody that can literally see, hear, and feel where you're at, where you want to go, and then literally reverse engineer the plan to help you get there. But it's even more than that. It's about helping you to become the best version of yourself en route, because I'm telling you, real estate is not a destination. It's a journey. And I know you know that, and Jason certainly knows that. But I'm telling you, as I started to coach with Tony Robbins and started to work with millionaires and yes, billionaires, I soon found that everybody, puts their pants on one leg at a time, and that everybody has mental blocks and everybody has strategic blocks, right? And so I literally cut my teeth and got what I call my black belt in coaching different CEOs and vice presidents. And I've coached people at Microsoft and American Express and JP Morgan and Blackstone and all those things. But honestly, my passion is coaching real estate investors like you, because I truly believe that they're the ones that can literally go out there and make an unlimited amount of impact and an unlimited amount of income in this role. What do you think?
Well, I don't know why I get embarrassed when you say things like that.
What's embarrassing about it? It's the truth.
Well, but like that you want to work with us, because when I've explained it before to others, when people are all excited about, the eviction moratoriums and all that, they don't stop to think that the people that own those apartments are people like us.
Yes.
You're not putting it to the man, you're putting it to your fellow human.
That's it.
And I don't know, it's just a really humbling experience to be going through everything that's going on right now. And then to have someone that's helping you wrap your mind around how you can be successful in all of this. And the hardships are going to be there no matter what. This year, the hardship is called COVID. Last year, the hardship was called COVID. What's it going to be called next year? Next year, it might be called forbearance. The year after that, it could be called, dollar losing value. There's always going to be something.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I know, we've talked offline a lot about what books you're reading, what books I'm reading, what books I recommend. And Napoleon Hill talks about this in Think and Grow Rich, which is my favorite book of all time. I've read it over 50 times, right? And my kids can even recite passages from it, because there it is. Thank you so much. My SUV doesn't go anywhere without a cell phone to call on real estate deals, a bottle of water, and a good audiobook or CD. So as I've played that book over and over and over, that audiobook over and over and over, and read the book numerous times, there's a quote in there where Napoleon Hill says that, adversity, right, brings with it the seed of opportunity, right? So if adversity is going to happen, and if you're a real estate investor, you are going to get punched in the face. You're going to have a fire. You're going to have a car drive into your building. You're going to have tenants that don't pay. You're going to have, rodent problems or termite problems. And, let's just face it, it's not a straight line from buying it to cashing out. You got to hustle in there. But anytime we do face adversity, it's also a call for courage. It's a call for resourcefulness. It's a call for you to really look at the different paths that you can take to solve the problem, because the quote really is one of my favorites, because he says that every adversity brings with it the seed of opportunity. That is, we're going to better something, or we're going to learn something, or we're going to grow, or we're going to, meet someone else that can help us as we leverage what needs to be done to get to our outcome. So at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in books. You know that. And I know that you're an avid reader. What are some of the other books that you think have helped you?
So like, there's a couple, but with you talking about like the things that can happen, Julie Holly has a book club, and we were reading The Obstacle is the Way.
Yes, amazing.
And it's amazing. And it can change your perspective on how you view those things that come up that are hard. And you start to view those difficulties as opportunities, as opposed to like impediments to what you're trying to do. But probably like the most just life-changing mindset book I ever read, or self-help book I ever read, was Positive Intelligence.
One of my favorites.
And there's a self-assessment on the website. And like, I know I do a lot, but I never knew that I find my own personal value in what I accomplish and what I do.
Yeah.
And it can kind of hurt a little bit, because you're like, because when you can't value yourself from within, and the only way you can value yourself is by what you do, that's kind of earth-shattering.
Yes, it is.
And it was like, for you to know that about me probably changed the way you would address things too,
Yes,
knowing that I prefer to be busy over necessarily being productive. And so learning that about myself should help me change some of the things I do. But when it's Jason telling me, is this a saboteur? That's almost like saying, can you calm down? Do you need to calm down?
Yeah, I love that you bring that up, Angel. And it's really true, because we have these little voices in our head. We have these little gremlins. We have these little shit disturbers. And the technical term for them is a saboteur, right? And a saboteur is really there to throw you under the bus. It doesn't want you to go out there and be successful. It doesn't want you to expand. It doesn't want you to literally leave your comfort zone, right? It's really there to sabotage your success. And again, unfortunately, we get programmed at a very young age with a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety. And if we aren't really practicing the art and science of awareness, when these thoughts or these saboteurs start to come and play in our head, we're really missing out on an opportunity to take our lives and maybe our family's life to the next level. So I love that you bring up the book, and there is a great assessment that I work.
All right, so Dan is suffering from technical difficulties, so we are unable to hear him. But what he posted up on the screen is the link to our summit, which is in 2 weeks now? Is that right, Angel? Right about 2 weeks.
Can you hear me? Because
I can hear you.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yeah. I can't. This Streamline is crazy today, friends. So yeah, no, the summit's coming up in just a couple of weeks, and it's going to be amazing. We've got tons of speakers. We've already got a whole bunch of content out there for the free tier. So you've got that to look forward to. And then you want to join us on the live side, because we're doing some different stuff this time. Think less panelish and more discussion in roundtable. It's going to be really cool. And I am so excited to be able to take on this different format and just to see how it goes. And I would love to have some feedback and input if y'all want to provide it. So hit me up on LinkedIn or in the chat here, whichever would be good for you.
Okay, and here's an audio test that works.
Echo badly.
Oh no. All right. Thanks for hanging with us, guys.
And Dan is playing these from our new platform. So
some of them are called the pleaser.
if you notice something different, it's because it's on our new platform.
And there's all these cool names, and that comes from a professor from Stanford. And I've been blessed to be with this professor from Stanford in person at one of the Tony Robbins events called Date with Destiny. And his name is Shirzad Shamin. And Shirzad has a fabulous TED Talk that if you guys want to watch a great 21-minute TED Talk, he talks about how he literally came up with these 10 saboteurs and how they're universal. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, right? And you're in America or Australia, we've all got these same little voices in our head. And he goes on to talk about how prevalent they are, even in very successful people. And he'll even, read out during this TED Talk some of the thoughts that some of the best and most successful people on the planet still have these fears, or the fear that they're not enough or they won't be loved regardless of how much money they make. So I can't, recommend that book or that TED Talk or taking the assessment enough, as I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to tell everyone just the absolute truth, what working with Tony Robbins did. And then as I, left Tony Robbins and went to work for myself as Trevor McGregor International Coaching and all of that, I really learned that the secret to success is understanding the human condition. It's really to understanding, who are we? What do we believe? What are our values? What are our rules? What makes us tick? And the more that we can have a self-study of exactly what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses, or as I like to call them, opportunities to improve, right? Or delegate, we start to have this awareness that absolutely once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. You can't go back. And I think that that's what you're referring to as you have a different awareness in your mind. And Jason has a different awareness as, you know, we've been working on this stuff for a couple of years now as we've been working together. True.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, I share this stuff about me because, man, you're not on an island. You're not all alone. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have. We've all got things going on. And my friend Ronnie that I went to school with would probably never realize what a profound effect he had on me when he one time told me, he said, I guess it's as hard being me as it is being you. And that was after he found out we have a special needs child, and we've got 3 other children, and you know, it's hard. It's hard. Julie, Holly probably angry with me for saying hard so much, but I'll say tough. It's tough.
It's a challenge. I'm kind of like the language police, and yeah, things are going to be hard, things are going to be tough, but I wouldn't call them hard or tough. I'd say, you know, how is the universe challenging me, and where do I need to build the courage muscle, right, to go take on that challenge, to defeat it, or to learn something, or to try something. And we're never ever going to, you know, hit the bullseye 100% of the time, but you know, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So you talk about, you know, having a special needs son, and you talk about, you know, having 3 children or 4 children, but 3 children that are completely busy and kind of like their mom, and you know, reading and writing, and you know, it's a fast-paced world out there. So again, that's why I believe that coaching and books and personal development and all of the stuff we're talking about here on Mindset Day is really rocket fuel or juice for the soul, where you're not an island, you're not alone, right? That you're going to have saboteurs, you're going to have good days and bad days. You're going to have an opportunity to really understand what drives the human condition, so that again, once you get the awareness of it, those lows become shorter, right? And the highs become longer or higher, because the truth is we're going to have days that really don't go that well, right? And that's going to put us in a very different, what we call an emotional home. Now, an emotional home could be frustration, anger, pissed off, right? Or if we can really, you know, stand guard at the door of our mind, we can live in emotions such as possibility, optimism, courage. And as a real estate investor, and I think most people that are tuning in here are real estate investors, whether they're a newbie, they're an intermediate, or maybe they've got a pretty large portfolio. But at the end of the day, nobody escapes, you know, that opportunity to really check in. Where do you live emotionally? What's your dominant emotional home, right? Because you know somebody, and I'm sure you and I have had this conversation, where you meet somebody that no matter what happens, they're angry all the time, right? Traffic's backed up on the freeway, they're angry. They get in the wrong line at the grocery store, they're angry. Their kids spill the milk, they're angry. Yet you probably know somebody that is happy all the time. They're like, hey, no problem. I got a kick-ass car, air conditioning and great tunes on my car. So in this traffic jam, we'll just listen to great music. Or the long line at the grocery store lets me reflect on how my day is. I can read what's going on in this magazine rack, right? It's usually water off a duck's back. So I invite people that if you can get that awareness of your emotional home, and you realize that adversity is really a call for courage, and you start to learn what your saboteurs are, you're definitely going to give yourself a leg up over people that don't do this work. What do you think?
Oh no, I absolutely agree. And too, like, even when you're working on this stuff and you're getting better, man, you're still gonna have off days.
Yep.
I'm still the treasurer of 2 different nonprofits. I'm still.
That is a fantastic time to come back on audio. I saw that clearing my throat actually worked, and now I finally get to say, hey, Angel, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Just having lots of technical fun.
Yeah. So yeah, my 2 different microphones weren't working with this browser session. I had to refresh finally, and then finally things started going through properly. But this is the REI Rocks review. We're here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Jason, how are you doing today? Just so that we get that as well.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm glad the technical issues are over with. So you're coming in loud and clear. So.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's a completely different type of saboteur this time, it seems. But don't adjust your sets. We are playing at 1.5 times speed. If you're watching a replay, then you can take a look somewhere over there. There's probably like a gear that you can click on, and the speed controls are one of them. So if we're too slow for you, you can speed it up even more. If we're too fast for you, you can slow it down. But anyway, let's continue this awesome session on the saboteurs with Coach Trevor McGregor.
The head of another nonprofit. I'm still doing, the Academy Presents. We're still doing real estate on the side. I'm still doing all the things. And I've told plenty of people I need to be stepping back. And yet I don't. And it's, I already know that's my saboteur. And it's still hard. I mean, even after you become aware and you know what you need to be working on, you're not always going to be on 100% every day. You're still going to have mistakes, and you're still going to have things that, you need to change. So,
but that's okay, because again, I don't know of any real estate investor or any human being that's perfect. In fact, I don't even think perfection exists other than in a brand newborn baby, right? A newborn baby is perfect because they haven't been tainted by society with all of the BS that happens in our environment. So I really honor you for having that awareness as I believe it is the rocket fuel or the juice that gets you to go, okay, I don't have to be perfect. I have to, go at my day, my week, my month, my quarter, my biannual, my year, really, asking myself one question. And that question is, am I making progress? Right? I'll say it again. Am I making progress? We call that a primary question. Whereas other people's primary question is, why do I always lose the deal? Why won't investors invest with me? Why does this book, have 42 chapters? I don't like to read long books, right? And they come up with all of these negative things as their PQ or their primary question, instead of how can I, make progress, or how can I leverage my skill set with a partner, or how can I identify what markets I want to be in, or how can I identify the best way to raise capital, right? And again, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a facilitator, a trainer can help you with that, because again, I'm known as the guy that can help turn decades into days. That is, it shouldn't take you 10 years to discover personal growth. It shouldn't take you 10 years to learn your saboteurs. It shouldn't take you 10 years to figure that anytime you come up against a roadblock or an obstacle or adversity, it's the universe's way of seeing how defiantly committed you are to going over it, or around it, or under it, or even through it. And again, I'm a real estate investor. So I talk about being a coach, a speaker, a consultant. I think that my wife and I have a publishing company now. We've got 3 kids. We travel the world at least once a quarter, not so much while COVID's on, but you'll usually find us in Italy or Hong Kong or Australia, right? Or the UK. And that's not to beat on my chest. It's to say that we've set up our lives with coaching and real estate and publishing to give us a lifestyle that allows us to work from anywhere we want on the planet. But I'm telling you, it's not all rainbows and lollipops. There's days where I'm either at my home office here or working from the UK or Australia where shit goes downhill, and I've got to really learn to stand guard at the door of my mind and remember that, hey, the universe is challenging me. And honestly, Angel, that's why I still today have coaches. In fact, I don't have one coach. I have 2 coaches that continue to elevate my emotions and lift me up in all the key areas so I can become better in everything I do. Does that resonate?
Oh, well, yeah, of course it does. But, I step back just a little bit too. And you were talking about being committed to something, and how the universe it's going to be trying you to see just how committed you are. And I think about when I committed to doing weekly recordings for our YouTube channel and for our podcast. And man, there were days where I didn't get out of bed except to record that episode. And commitment doesn't mean you're always gung-ho and happy and rainbows and unicorns about getting it done. There were days when I got up and I looked at my hair and I was like, do I have to watch this today? Or can I make it through this episode? And it was hard and it wasn't fun anymore.
And that's why we go back to
I was committed to it.
Well, that's it. I love that you bring that up, and I give you, 10,000 points, because you're either interested in doing something or you're committed to doing something. And here's the difference. People that are interested will do it when it's convenient and if they feel like it. Whereas people that are committed, they'll do whatever it takes. And that's the category I put you and Jason in, and a lot of my clients.
Well, I got too many mice on my desk, and so as I moved one mouse to the right, I ended up left-clicking and pausing it when I didn't mean to. But I got a segue that I can string out a little bit here. So one thing that I think is really important that's underlying all of this is the difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. This was a couple years back, and it's been a great couple years. Like if we told that girl there in the screen, what just went down in the last 2 years, I think you, Angel, would be really happy with that. But all things said and done, I'm a lot more stoked about the transition that Jason has made while being under Coach T's coaching, particularly with the underwriting. So that's my drawn out segue that actually is based in fact, which is fantastic. But I'm going to throw some triangles on the face. Jason, do you want to talk about what you offer as far as underwriting? Actually, we want the ironclad one instead. We want this one. This is a much better set of triangles. Look at that smile. Jason, what can you tell everybody about what you're doing with underwriting these days?
I offer underwriting coaching. I go from understanding where to find all the critical information you need to inputting it into your model to then using that model as your business plan so that you can have a successful project going forward, and you can at least be on the right track to get your investors the returns that you projected for them. So if you're interested in getting more certainty, clarity, and confidence in your underwriting, you can hook me up. I'm on LinkedIn, or you can go to the website on the screen.
Yes, sir. And there's a QR code, so if you pause this replay, then you can see it that way as well. Scan that. But for real, it's been really awesome watching that transition. I should also mention to anybody out there in the audience who is in need of more eyeballs of commercial real estate syndicators, investors, operators, you name it, that whole niche. this space could be yours. And here's the highly conspicuous way that I encourage and put that ahead. But you are watching the REI Rocks review. We're here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and this is Coach T's presentation. Let's continue.
We will find a way, right? And if that means going back to our purpose or our why, I mean, what is your why? What is the big, fat, compelling reason that you want to help people, become better at real estate, become better in everything they do? And that's what I love about the podcast and the YouTube channel is you're real, you're raw. You're like, look, we're a family from Texas that are doing the best we can with the intention to keep improving so we can go from where we are to where we want to be, right? And same thing with your husband and same thing with some of the other people that I know you're working on, certain projects with and investments and real estate opportunities and all of that. Because again, at the end of the day, there's always another level. In fact, I teach something called the ladder of success for mindset. And I think you'll probably remember it because if our viewer can picture a ladder with 6 rungs going up, right? We literally will give a label to each one of these rungs as follows. And the first level that these people play at is the level I call poor, P-O-O-R. Now, I bet everyone watching isn't poor at being a landlord or a parent or anything, because poor equals pain, right? If you show up poorly in real estate or in parenting or in anything today, you don't get poor results. You get pain. So let's go up to rung number 2. Rung number 2 is what we call good. Now you're good at being a landlord, or you're good at, doing market research, or you're a good parent or a good spouse. But guys, good isn't good enough anymore. It's 2021. So let's leave that and go up to the 3rd rung, which is what I call great. Now you're getting better. Now you're reading the books. You're working with the coaches. You're going to meetups. You're listening to Angel's podcast. And ultimately, now you're great at many of the things you do. But remember what Coach Trevor said. There's still 3 more rungs up the ladder. So what I like to do is move beyond poor, good, or great and go up to rung number 4, which is what I call excellent. Now you're showing up excellent with your tenants. You're showing up excellent with your lenders. You're showing up excellent with your investors. And I'm telling you, excellent results come from being excellent. But there's still 2 levels, because when you can crack the code and go from excellent to level 5, we call that outstanding, right? Where you are just absolutely in the zone. You're doing your passion work. You're doing what you love. You're making the impact. You're making the income. Life becomes so much more fun. But the people that I've worked with that literally will aspire to go to the very top level of that ladder, literally move from outstanding to level 6, which is extraordinary or extraordinary. Because I'm telling you, real estate and life can be played at that level when you're defiantly committed to climbing this ladder of success. What do you think, Angel?
Oh, I think that we're like between the ladder and the pyramid.
Yeah.
We're constantly trying to get up as high as we can get. And I mean, I think the hardest part is moving from 3 to 4, because like once you start getting the momentum, I think that's the hardest hop. And then it's like easier, because it's like you feel how amazing it is to be where you are.
Yep.
And you're like, holy shit, it can feel better than this.
Yeah.
And you find yourself working harder to get further up, but you're being so much more pinpointed and so much more efficient.
That's it.
And it's the feeling is amazing to know that you're having the impact that you were hoping to have, and you're helping the people that you wanted to help. And then knowing that you can even grow beyond that.
That's it. And we can take that even outside of the real estate arena. Look at somebody like, I don't know, Elon Musk, right? Not only did he go out there and crush it with PayPal, and then he did Solar City, and then he did Tesla. Now he's doing SpaceX because he's a man on a mission, right? And it's not the money. I think him or Jeff Bezos or some of these guys have more money than they'd ever need, right? But it's the impact on all of the other people. And Elon's mission is to get off fossil fuels and colonize Mars. And he's got some pretty crazy ideas, but he doesn't let his saboteurs rule the roost. He's defiantly committed to his outcomes. So somebody like Oprah Winfrey, she's a role model.
And I think it's pretty fair to say that, Angel, the way that you get your impact, the biggest vehicle over the last 3 years, it must be these REI Rocks Summits. And we've got one in a week and a half. That's why we had these triangles up here. And I got to remind everybody in the audience that there is a free tier there. But Angel, can you say a thing or two about this awesome summit? Because we already know some of the free access content, and I've been looking at it. I'm really excited.
Well, I mean, we do have the free tier. We will most likely always have a free tier because that's just part of the teacher in me wanting to share information. But like I was saying a little bit earlier, we're trying some new things in the live side. I'm thinking less panels with like questions from a moderator and more roundtable discussion. Just because I feel like what we get into discussion wise is super deep. And I think it goes further than a lot of people are going to go simply answering questions. So that's kind of my thought process on it. We'll see how it goes, but I think it'll be really cool. And I would love to have everybody there that wants to be there. So there's 3 ways to get over to the live side. You can get a VIP upgrade ticket. You can do a VIP subscription, which is probably, I would say it's the best way, just because you also get access to all of the recordings, so like 400 hours of content. Or, I do hear that if you know a speaker, they might have some codes that they're allowed to give out. So if you're wanting to do it that way, but if you do that, you don't get access to the recordings later. So we'd love to have you on the live side. I'd love to share this with you, since it's just something new and something I'm wanting to try.
All right, that's really awesome. And this is the REI Rocks review, where we review those summit sessions to give you a little bit of a teaser of what content is in there, what can move your business ahead, and really make sure that you've got that sustainability that can only come from great mindset. And that's what Coach T, that's one of the things that Coach T does. It's he's a miracle worker. It's like part therapist. He had a line about that. It was like part therapist. What was it?
I mean, I just know what he does for us. Like he listens to what we have to say. So he's helping us out when we're having issues with the kids, because, well, kids, our oldest, I think at the time of this, was a preteen. Now we got a teenager. And so just things come up, and he just helps navigate through all of those things. It's not strictly business. It's not strictly mindset. It's not strictly, anything. He's a real all-around person when it comes to helping you.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's continue the presentation. Let's go.
Of mine, and I actually got to do the fire walk with Oprah Winfrey and Tony Robbins back in 2010 in LA. It was truly amazing to walk on hot coals and then watch Oprah go bounding across this bedrock of fire. It was pretty cool. But I look at her and what she's done, or somebody like Steve Jobs or Richard Branson or J.K. Rowling, the woman that wrote the Harry Potter series, is they continually climbed that ladder and worked at it, not for the money, but from passion, from purpose, from possibility. And I'm telling you, you go out there and you make that happen, the money flows to you in avalanches of abundance, because the universe sees that you're living on purpose and with purpose. And that's when the whole paradigm starts to shift, and you're spot on. And it starts happening from level 3 to level 4 to level 5. And man, some people that are listening to this are going to literally hang out there for the rest of their lives. And a very small few are going to do the work, the personal growth work that takes them to extraordinary or extraordinary. What do you think?
No, absolutely. And I think one of the cool things that happened as we started doing the mindset work and just meeting people was that we're all alike.
Yes.
We're all human. It doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire, a billionaire, whatever. And I've always kind of prided myself on the fact that I don't really get intimidated by people, because we're all people.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that was like a superpower. I didn't. But now that I've met more people in so many different walks of life, we're really all the same. And there's no reason. I mean, Elon Musk, he's got saboteurs.
Yes, he does.
He's got challenges.
Yes, he does.
It's just as hard being him as it is being me.
Yep.
And Ronnie Schultz, if you were listening, that is your quote, honey. And I will never forget it, because I don't think you will ever know the profound effect that statement had on me.
Yeah, I love that you brought it up twice, and it's absolutely true. Richard Branson's got his challenges. Tony Robbins got his. Oprah's got hers. I've got mine. You've got yours. But again, it's not about the challenge. It's who we become en route to moving past the challenge. And again, I have really identified that in life or in real estate, there's really 5 key things that hold people back from unleashing their power, right? And if you're open to it, I'd love to share those 5 things with the viewers now.
Absolutely. Please do.
You bet. And the first one is my passion. And that is, I help people get rid of number 1, which is what we call limiting beliefs, right? If you think that that's airy fairy, or you think you don't have limiting beliefs, I'm here to tell you, folks, you're fooling yourself. Everybody has some doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, or maybe you've got a belief that you're not good enough or smart enough or rich enough or educated enough. All bullshit. Because at the end of the day, just like Angel said, we're all human beings, and God doesn't play favorites. He doesn't give somebody an advantage, without giving you an advantage to go learn or mentor or read books or go to personal development, events, or listen to Angel's podcast, right? So I really help people, get rid of any limiting belief that might be holding them back. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean they're all gone.
No.
I still have them. But
I still have them. We start chipping away. It's like a big oak tree. It's like a redwood. We start chipping at it a little bit of a time. But if you don't, better your limiting beliefs, it is the number one thing that holds people back.
Well, and you have to identify them. Like, yeah. and that's the thing about having a coach, is your coach is going to help you identify the fact that, oh, do you think that's are you self-limiting? Is that a self-limiting belief? And I mean, are you going to get defensive? Probably. I did.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. I've been told no, yes, sworn at, told, you're Canadian. What do you know about, real estate in the US? All relevant, but all irrelevant, because most people have a defense mechanism, right? And we learn that defense mechanism when we're little, because, when we're babies, Angel, what happens is we come home from the hospital, and when we're hungry, we cry, we get the mommy's breast milk. When we are wet, we get a diaper change. When we feel lonely, we cry, we get hugged. And then what tends to happen is we get a little bit older. And then maybe when you're 2 or 3 years old, you go to the shopping center with your mom, right? And you're having a good time, and you're going to get your favorite cereal and all this stuff. And your mom goes around the corner to get a can of soup, And you look up and you look around and, oh my God, your mom is gone. The woman that has taken care of you your whole life has disappeared. And we start to panic. And the funny thing is that we know what happens in that moment. We feel abandoned and we feel unloved in that moment. When mom comes back around the corner and she goes, honey, why are you crying? And the little girl or little boy goes, mommy, I couldn't find you. Right. And in that moment of feeling like maybe you've been abandoned or maybe mommy didn't love you enough and now she's disappeared, we start to bring in other lies, other rational lies of why we can't go out there and do things, or why we always need to hang on to mommy's coattails, or it becomes a safety blanket or a mechanism. And most people are doing that hanging on to a W-2 job, or most people are doing that staying in a relationship that's not serving them, or most people are playing small. So again, at the end of the day, getting rid of any belief that doesn't support your outcome is what this is about as adults. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
You bet. And that takes us to number 2. And the second thing on the list of 5 is what I call a lack of a strategic plan, right? A lack of strategic plan. And I'll be honest with you that people spend more time planning their vacation in Mexico once a year than they do working on their business or their life or their real estate agenda. So what we do is we take a look at your skill set, we take a look at what you're good at and maybe what you're not so good at. And then we also start to lay out a roadmap, right? Of what do you want to do in the short term? What do you want to do in the long term? And what's the vision for your business and your life? And then we reverse engineer a plan and get you moving along the path to going there. Does that resonate?
No, absolutely. And that's not to say that you're not going to put things in your plan that aren't going to work out. We had an idea. We thought it was going to be amazing. We were going to sell it. We were going to make tons of money. It was going to be amazing. It was going to revolutionize the way that we connect with people. It didn't pan out. So we moved on. It's still sitting there, maybe someday, but we've kind of had to move on because we're still going to be successful.
Absolutely.
We have to find the success somewhere else now.
You bet. And I love that you're sharing you're absolutely open with what your journey's been like, because as Napoleon Hill says again in Think and Grow Rich, there is no failure. There's only feedback. And as real estate investors or entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, we get a lot of feedback, right? And sometimes things work and sometimes they really don't. So again, I love that you're sharing that. Number 3 is what we call a lack of systems for support, right? Because we can get rid of your limiting beliefs and we can create this kick-ass action plan. But if we don't create systems that support your execution, we're really fooling yourself. That could be roles and responsibilities again. It could be team members, partners, JVs, even how to leverage technology, right? What are you using to help you win the game of real estate, right? And are you working with a high-performance master platinum coach that again can shorten the learning curve? Because I've literally created more millionaires than any other coach I know through real estate. And I'm not going to be slowing that down anytime soon. So it's not to beat on my chest. It's just to say that, after doing 25,000 coaching calls, I'd have to be an idiot at this stage not to see what holds people back and what helps them absolutely explode the results. But there's number 3, a lack.
Well, I'm a complete tease, and you may not know this, but Jason is the underwriter, the numbers person at Lauren Capital. So, Jason, I have a question for you, which is the storage for all of these videos, is that free?
No, it is not free.
It's not free.
And it gets more expensive the more videos we put up there.
Right, and there's streaming, and then there's keeping our lights on, and there's feeding our kids and stuff. So I guess we kind of have to be teases a little bit because all of this stuff is available as part of the subscription. And but if you really don't have the cash, then you can definitely join us for the REI ROCKS Summit in just a week and a half. It's just two Wednesdays away. I'm really excited about all that kind of stuff. But we always end off these REI ROCKS reviews with the doggy bag. In other words, the takeaways from the presentation. Who wants to kick things off? Angel, Jason?
Let Angel.
Really the takeaways are that when things get rough, you figure out how to work through them and just keep moving. Like don't stay down when you get knocked down, get back up. And like the story there with what we had, we had created this idea that was going to be amazing and it didn't pan out. And we invested a lot of money in it. We lost a lot of money in it. And rather than continue to think about how bad of a deal it was and how much money we lost, we just pushed it over to the side and started focusing on something else and pushed forward and found success in a different place. So just don't stay down. You have to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Jason, how about you?
Yeah, just keep moving forward. Even if you feel like you're at a snail's pace, if you're still moving forward, you're still moving towards your goal. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. So
I like that, even though it kind of throws a wrench into what I was about to say, which is I was going to mention, I think if there's one thing that's a little bit different about the three of us at Lauren Capital, I think it's exceptional memory. And what I mean by that is, like with Angel, with me, with Jason, what you said a year and a half ago, that's still on the table to come up again. It's like, hey, you said this, that, or the other thing is likely to come up. But still, even when it comes to the saboteurs, the ego is such a slippery thing that you need to be reminded. And, that's my takeaway is, like you need to be reminded of this stuff so often because, old habits, especially like self-criticism, things like that, the self-limiting beliefs, which was number one of the 5, they keep on rearing their ugly heads. And so that's why it's so important to do checkups, just like you do in your fluids in your vehicle. But it's now 11:45 Eastern. That's when we try and give everybody your week back. I've had a great time despite being absolutely terrified for the first like 20 minutes of this while none of my microphones were working. But next week, we're going to still have this REI Rocks review. So we're going to see everybody at 11 a.m. Eastern. Anybody have anything else they want to add before we give them the rest of their day back?
Not at all.
Nope.
Okey-dokey.
Nope. Have
Cool.
a good weekend, everybody.
Bye, guys.
For sure. Exactly. Hope to see you. I guess the soonest would be Marvelous Mondays. There's a thing so you can pause it real quick or scan it with your phone and just network with a bunch of us. But that's it for today. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.